Welcome to the presentation on information ethics. This lecture is based on Chapter 33 in the third edition of Information Services Today, an introduction edited by Sandra Hirsch and is authored by Martin L. Garnar, Library Director at Amherst College. We're going to explore the core ethical principles and challenging issues that are shaping the information profession today. The key themes address how technology has influenced information professionals' work, highlight current issues and trends, provide expert insight into emerging challenges and opportunities, and identify career management strategies and leadership opportunities in the information professions. After completing this lecture, you should understand information ethics, terminology, and ethical theories, know the principles that inform the profession's codes, identify evidence of those principles, and discuss future trends and implications for ethical thinking. Section 1 introduces information ethics, including core theories and principles. Information ethics is defined as a field of applied ethics that addresses the uses and abuses of information, information technology, and information systems for personal, professional, and public decision-making. Elrod, 2005. Information ethics is a subset of ethics that applies directly to the work of information professionals. Ethics are principles that guide decision-making, which are both personal and shared, morals, values, beliefs. When ethics are shared professionally, the underlying principles must be agreed upon by those within the organization. Before approaching ethics professionally, it is important to understand the three dominant schools of thought: utilitarianism, deontology, and ethics of care. The utilitarianism theory emphasizes that something that is beneficial for the majority is ethically acceptable if the people disadvantaged by a decision are in the minority. Garnar, 2022. Critics argue that negative consequences are overlooked or easily justified in utilitarian thinking. This concept, popularized by John Stuart Mill, is associated with the idea that the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Deontology comes from the Greek for duty and is an ethical system based on adherence to rules. An action is ethical if the guiding rule is based on a valid principle applied to everyone. However, it can hinder decision-making when the actor must decide which rule to break to preserve another. In contrast to utilitarianism, deontology focuses not on the consequences of a decision, but on the rightness of the action taken. Garnar, 2022. This care-based approach is summarized by the Golden Rule, found across many world religions. It is a feminist concept offered as a corrective to utilitarianism and deontology. Its flaw is that the do unto others approach is invalid if individuals cannot make appropriate decisions. Given the service orientation of the library and information science professions, a care-based approach to ethical thinking can be seen as complementary to overall goals. Garnar, 2022. Highly useful professional codes of ethics from the ALA, SAA, AIIP, and IFLA should be studied by information professionals. Be sure to view the online supplement for further ethical resources. This table compares the shared principles in the four codes. It notes that ALA's code mentions equitable access, but SAA allows access restriction due to donor agreements. The codes are changed in response to new issues and trends. The question asks what action you would take if a principal removes a book from a school library in response to a parent's complaint without following official policy. Section 2. Keeping pace with a changing world. Section 2 addresses ethics as it relates to today's information landscape. The ALA Code of Ethics was created in 1939, has been revised 3 times, and its principles still apply and are relevant to our ever-changing digital world. The shift to digital content creates problems for equitable access, as many users lack personal devices. Professionals must bridge the digital divide by providing equipment and training, which creates the ethical dilemma of redirecting funds away from content purchasing. A 2012 study showed only a 1% increase in ethnic and racial minorities working as degreed librarians. If diversity is a shared principle, professionals must move beyond statements of openness and actively live that principle. Since the Children's Internet Protection Act, CIPA, was upheld in 2003, Internet filters are standard in public and school libraries to receive federal funding. However, a study shows libraries overblock content, which disproportionately impacts users without home internet access. The question asks how information professionals balance the desire for E-rate discounts, which come with adopting a filter, with the ethical imperative to ensure equitable and unfettered access to information. Information organizations are becoming interactive creation spaces, like makerspaces. Issues include social media content monitoring, potential censorship, limits on 3D printing, and copyright infringement with video mashups. The convergence of online services makes it difficult to maintain a private persona. The ALA continues to defend privacy and fight NSA data collection, leading to the question of whether to continue funding initiatives like Choose Privacy every day given limited resources. The term service can be viewed in several ways. The move to self-service raises debates about user privacy, and there is a question of whether online users receive the same level of service as walk-up users. Professionals must balance supporting traditional services with testing innovative ideas and managing funding implications. The question asks whether you would share a workaround that restores large quantity printing after a vendor restricted it with colleagues, users, or the vendor. Article 7 of the ALA Code of Ethics is often interpreted as requiring neutrality. While the profession aims to be neutral about collection content, it has not remained neutral about who should access collections. Calls for restricting hate speech raise the question, when does selection turn into censorship? Ethical dilemmas are characterized by more questions than answers. Being comfortable with the profession's ethical principles is important to good decision-making, as is knowing when to seek assistance. Garnar, 2022. Section 3. Further assistance and resources. Section 3 highlights ways information professionals can get help and think ahead about possible ethical dilemmas. Ethical dilemmas are difficult to resolve, but resources like the Office for Intellectual Freedom and the ALA Committee on Professional Ethics offer guidance. The best strategy is preparation. Be aware of institutional policies, conduct staff training using scenarios, and ensure proper documentation and discussion by managers. The Office for Intellectual Freedom and the ALA Committee on Professional Ethics provide guidance through interpretative statements of the ALA Code of Ethics, available at http://www.ala.org/about-ala/offices/OIF. The best strategy for resolving ethical dilemmas is preparation. All information professionals should be aware of policies and procedures at their institutions, and regular reviews of policies and procedures serve as both a refresher on content and an opportunity to address new developments. Garnar, 2022. Information professionals can be proactive by joining professional organizations, attending educational opportunities, subscribing to updates, and developing professional networks. Staying connected and current with the information environment is key. The Intellectual Freedom Committee of the Colorado Association of Libraries has developed many scenarios and training materials available at https://cal-webs.org/if_training. Information organizations are constantly adapting while balancing the influence of tradition. Professionals must be aware of their ethical codes and policies. Equitable access remains a common theme. By staying connected and involved, information professionals will be better prepared to fight for their community's access to information and address ethical issues.